Hi everyone, welcome to a short little tutorial on how to convert binary numbers. In lecture number 3, I went over number systems and we studied the binary number system in particular because it's used in how computers are designed. And so in this little tutorial, I just want to practice a little bit converting binary numbers. You may find this easy. If you do, feel free to fast forward over this lecture. But what I'm going to do is you could see there, I have a series of binary numbers that are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And all I'm going to do is show you how to convert them. Okay, so let's start off with the first one. The first one, actually, you should be able to just convert by looking it up in our chart. You should have all the binary numbers between 0 and 15 memorized. That is binary 1, 1, 1, 1, which is 15. So everything from 0 to binary 1, 1, 1, 1, you should have memorized. It's not that hard to memorize it. They follow a pattern, and that's precisely why you should memorize it, so that you get that pattern in your head. And once you see that pattern, it makes everything else easy. Okay, so let's start off with this first one. This first one, if you just have it memorized, it's the number 7 in decimal. Whoops, 7 like that. And you might go, well, how would I convert that if I didn't know that it was 7? And remember that the columns in in any Arabic numeral system, the columns have meanings associated with them, and the rightmost column here, this one is the ones column. Okay, let me space this out a little bit so you can see how this works. That's the ones column. Okay, and this column over here, that's the twos column. Okay, and the next one is two twos, which is 2 times 2 or 4. That's the fours column. Okay, and so what this basically says, 1, 1, 1, is it says, because you have 1 in the 1 position here, it says you have 1, 1. Okay, and because you have a 1 in the 2 position here, it says you have a 2, like that. Okay, and because you have a 1 in the 4 position, it means you also have a 4, like that. And if you add 1 plus 2 plus 4, you're going to get 7. Okay, and so that's how that works. All right, so basically each column has a meaning associated with it, and it goes by powers of 2 because binary, it takes a cycle of 2 before you bump up the next column. And so basically, you know, the columns are the ones column on the furthest to the right, and then moving from the right to the left. I know we usually write left to right, but for these numbers, for Arabic numerals, you want to think right to left. Okay, and so starting for the rightmost column here, that's the ones column. The next one is twice that, the twos column. Next one is twice that, it's the fours column, and so on. And then if you have a 1 in that column, it's just one of those, and if you have a 0 in that column, it's 0 of those. So for instance, if I had 0 here, like that, it wouldn't equal 7. What would it equal? Well, this would say I have 1, 1, but it says I have no 2, so you wouldn't have any 2 there, like that. And this says you have 1, 4, and so 1 plus 4 is 5, like that. And so 101 binary is equal to 5, like that. Okay, so let's do this, and we're going to do it with increasingly larger numbers. As you can see down here, I think I get up to 10 digits. Okay, and it looks like a very big number because you're used to thinking in decimal, but it's not as big as you think. Okay, all right, so let's look at this one here, and let me space these out like that so you can see what column is which. All right, and so this column right here, this is the ones column. Whoops, like that. All right, this one is the twos column, that one is the fours column. And what's the next one? Well, it's twice 4, so the next one would be the eights column. Okay, and so here this says I have no ones. I have no ones, so don't write anything down. I have 1, 2. I have 1, 4. I have a 4 there, like that. And I have an 8, like that. And so, what's that equal to? 14. All right. 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. And there you go. Okay, so binary 1, 1, 1, 0 is equal to 14. That one you should also be able to just look up in that table. All right, now it's getting more interesting. Okay, so here we have this next one. And again, we could space this out just so it's a little easier to see. When you get used to these, you know, the fact that the columns increase by powers of 2 each time. I think you could just start to write down, like you would just write down no ones, no twos, a 4, an 8, and a 16, and you'd be done, okay? But, for these first few ones, I'll just write in the numbers here, okay? So that's the ones column, like that, okay? That's the ones column. This one is the twos column. This one is the fours column. Oh, they're not lining up quite right. Okay, yeah, I can't get them to line up perfectly. That's all right. The next one is the eights column, like that. And this one is the 16s column, okay? So let me space them out a little bit more. Yeah, there you go. Now I can see them. Okay, so so this one's the eights column right there. Okay, just like above, the fourth column over, first, second, third, fourth column over is the eights column. The next one would be 2 eights, twice 2 times 8, so that's the 16s column. And so you take a look at this and you go, okay, well, I've got no ones, all right, so don't write anything down. I've got no twos, okay, I've got a 4, all right, there's your first one. I've got an 8, and I've got a 16, okay, like that. And what's that equal to? That is equal to 28, all right. So 16 and 8 is 24, and 4 more is 28, okay? Or I guess 16 and 4 is 20, like that. 16 and 4 is 20, and then 8 is 28. All right, there you go. All right. So now this one's getting a little bit bigger. All right. So what's this one going to equal? Well, that's the ones column. That is the twos column. That is the fours column. Okay, that is the 8. So I thought I had an extra digit. Okay, it still only goes up to the 16s column, but that's okay. It's good enough. All right, let's see if I can line these up a little bit better. It's a little hard to line these up, but I think you can see how that works. Okay, it's good enough. Okay, so I have a 1, right? I have 1 in the ones column. I have a 0 in the twos column, so skip 2. I have a 1 in the fours column, so there's a 4. I have no 8s. I have a 0 in the 8s column, so skip 8. And then 16 like that, because I have a 1 in the 16s column. And so that's going to equal what? 21. All right, there you go, 21. Okay, let's practice a little bit more. Let's take a look at this one. All right, and let's see if we can do it without putting the columns on top. This is the ones column, right? How many ones do you have? None. Okay, good. This is the twos column, right? And you have a 2. You have a 1 in the twos column. All right, so we have 2. What column is that? Well, that was the ones, that was the twos, so we're up to the fours. So I have a 4. I have no 8s. I have no 16s. And what comes after 16? What's 2 times 16? 32. I have a 32, like that, okay? And the answer would be 32, 36, 37, 38, like that, all right? Now, if you didn't see that, I'll put that in there now. I'll put in the column numbers now. See, maybe I can make use of these here. Paste. Whoops, wrong. I hit the tab. Okay, so you could see here. And these are, sorry, but it's a little hard to line up. Okay, that's lined up. Okay, so you can see here that there's the ones column, there's the twos column, there's the fours column, there's the 8s column, the 16, and you say, well, what column is this one? We haven't encountered that yet, at least in this series, and that is 32. Okay, that's the 32. You see, how did you get 32? Twice 16 is 32. Okay, so that's the 32 column. Now, before you even do the next one, like, you might want to say, well, how many columns do I go up? Okay, so I guess I could put spaces in here again so you could see it a little bit better. All right. So that's the ones, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. And what's after 32? Twice 32 is 64. Okay, so this is the last one that I'll actually put in the column numbers for, because it's starting to get a little bit large. I'll just tell you what the column numbers are after this. All right, so let's see here. And not lining up. Okay, good enough. Okay, so you got the ones column, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. And you say, well, what column is that? That column is the 64. And you say, how'd you get 64? It's twice 32. Okay, so if that's a 32 column, that's twice 32, which is 64. And now we can go ahead and we can say, okay, I've got 1, 1. All right, I've got 1, 2. Okay, how many 4s do you have? None. How many 8s do you have? 1. I have an 8. I have a 16, right? I have a 16. And you say, do I have a 32? I do not. I have no 32s, but I do have a 64. 64 like that. And let me see what that's equal to. I've got a calculator here. You can't see it, but it's equal to 91. Okay, so that's equal to 91. All right, before we go on, we're seeing the sequence here. Okay, let me write down what the next number would be. What number would you get after 64? Well, twice 64, it would be 128. Okay, so if we had another column over, that would be 128, and then the next one would be 256. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 columns over. The next one would be 512. Okay, and then the next one, again, I'm just multiplying by 2 each time. So I took 64 multiplied by 2, I get 128. 128 multiplied by 2, I get 256. 256 multiplied by 2, you get 512. 512 multiplied by 2, and you get 1024. So those are the column numbers. And I could take this number here and line them up, but I'm not going to do that. Let's see if we can practice doing this just one number at a time, okay? So we take a look at that one. You say, well, what column is that one in? It's in the ones column, and it's a 1, so there's a 1. Okay, this one right there, that's in the 2's column, but there's no 2's. This one, that one's in the 4's column, right? That's in the 4's column, like that. So I have a 4. This one is in the 8's column, so I have an 8. Whoop, I have an 8. Okay. This one is in the 16's column. Okay. So I have a 16 there, like that. All right. This one is in the 32. Okay. And I don't have any 32s because it's a 0. This one is in the next column, which would be the 64. So plus 64. Like that. Okay, and this last one here would be in the 128 column. All right, now let's just check to make sure that I had that right. This is the ones column, and I have a 1. 2's column and nothing. 4's column, and there's my 4. 8's column, and there's my 8. 16, no 32. 64, there's my 64. And after 64, 128. Okay, so that's that number there, like that. And let me just add this up on my calculator. That is the number 221. Okay, so once again, the binary number 110111101 is equal to 221. Okay, now that let's just pause there for a second. This might look very strange to you. You're looking at this and you're going, what is going on here? How can such a so many digits equal 221? Well, remember, this side is binary, so the left side is binary and the right side is decimal. Okay, so at the decimal side, this is the ones column. This one is what? The tens column, and this one is the hundreds column, okay? And so we're comparing apples and oranges here. Now, I didn't say this during the lecture, but sometimes people, like some professors, just to make sure that you're not confused, what they'll do is they'll put like a little underscore here, and they'll put a little b like that. Oh, sorry, lowercase, no, a lowercase b like this, to say that number is binary, like that. I'm not going to do that. I think it'll be clear. okay? And they might even put an underscore D to say that this number is decimal, okay? Just to say, like, look, this is a binary number. Don't try to interpret it as a decimal number, okay? But I think we'll understand that when you see a bunch of ones and zeros like that, that's a binary number. And then, of course, if you've got anything other than a 1 or a 0, it cannot be a binary number. Okay, so let's continue. I've only got two more here. They're getting increasingly big on purpose. Okay, so then there's this one. And before I start, assigning putting the numbers over here on this side, let's just see how far up we go. So that's the ones column. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256. Okay, so this one goes all the way up to the 256 column. Okay, so let's go through it. That's the ones column. Okay, and you've got a 1 in the ones column, so you've got 1. This one is the twos column, and you have no twos. This one is the fours column. Okay, and so you have a 4. All right, that's the fours column. This column is what? Well, twice 4 is 8, so we're up to the 8th column. Okay, and you have no 8. If you get lost because there's too many digits, just start on the right side and count over again. 1, 2, 4, 8. Okay, no 8s, so I didn't put anything here. Okay, what column is this one? Well, now we're up to the 16, like that. Okay, so 1, 2, 4, 8, 16. All right, so that was a 1 in the 16th column. This is the 32 column, but there's nothing in the 32. This one is the 64 column, nothing in the 64. This one is in the 128 column, but there's nothing in the 128. This one is in the 256, so that's your last number, okay? 256, like that, 256. And what's that equal to? Let me calculate it very quickly. That one is equal to 277. There you go. Okay, so this number here, get rid of all the spaces in there. That number there, interpreted as a binary number, is equal to this number here, 277, interpreted as a decimal number. Okay, just keep in mind the number on the left is binary, the number on the right is a decimal. Okay, and you can keep going on bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't want to go any further than this, and so let's just do this last one here. Okay, and so that's in the ones column, and it's 0, so there's no 1. Okay, and this one's in the twos column. You have a 1 in the twos column, so you have a 2. And this one is the fours column. There's no 4. There's no 8. There's no 16. There's no 32. There's a 64. Okay, that's in the 64 column. All right. That one is in the 128 column. All right, that's in the 128. This one is in the 256 column. All right, and the last one is in the 512 column. Okay, let's just make sure we got that right, because when they get too big, when they get big like that, you have to be careful about, like, that you don't lose count as you start to move further and further to the left. Okay, so let's just do that again. That's the ones column, that's the twos column, the 4, the 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, and 512. Okay, so that does look correct. All right, and what's that equal to? That is equal to 962. Okay, so this huge number here, binary, get rid of all the spaces in between. Okay, whoop, went too far. All right, that binary number there is equal to 962. Okay, like that. Now, I think you realize that binary numbers get They have a lot of digits in them. Okay, and the reason is that because the columns don't increase that fast, it takes a lot of digits before you get up to a number like 962. It only takes 3 digits of a decimal number to get up into the 900s, whereas it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is that right? Let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it takes 10 digits of a binary number before you reach 3 digits of a decimal number. And that's again because the columns don't increase. They only increase by a factor of 2 in binary, whereas they increase by a factor of 10 in decimal. Okay, so a little bit of a tutorial there on just how to do these conversions. There's some, I have a practice quiz for you, which doesn't count for anything. You can do it as much as you like. And I don't go to very large numbers in that one, but just so you can practice. But if you start to get lost, like during a test or anything, you start to get lost, don't be afraid to just take the number, like write it down, and you can put some spaces between the numbers like this. And then just on top, start to write down the that's like a 1, that's like a 2. Whoops, I shouldn't have used tabs. Okay, and that's like a 4. Okay, that's the 4's column, and then this one is the 8's column, like that. Whoops, yeah, I shouldn't have used tabs. Okay, you got the idea. Okay, and then you just keep going like that. The next one would be the 16, and then the 32, and that's effectively what I did when I did this number, but I just did it without writing it down. But if you have to write it down, just go ahead and write it down, and then you should be fine. Okay. All right, that was it for this quick little tutorial. I just wanted to make sure that we practiced bigger and bigger numbers. Okay, bye-bye.